You've seen this one, maybe on Twitter, maybe on WhatsApp, maybe your cousin forwarded it with 3 exclamation marks. Bill Gates is buying the rain. In March 2026, unusual rainfall hit North India. Within hours, social media had its villain. And that villain had a name. A famous one. This is Internet Mythbusters, and today we're tracing a conspiracy theory from viral post to scientific reality. Let's find out what's actually going on. The post spread like wildfire. Screenshots, voice notes, grainy videos, all with the same message. Bill Gates had figured out how to control the weather, and he was testing it on India. Millions of shares, comment sections exploding. I knew it. Finally, the truth comes out. They're playing God with our weather. Sound familiar? But here's what nobody stopped to ask. What actually caused that March rainfall? And can cloud seeding even do what they're claiming? Let's start with the simple part, the weather itself. Because here's the thing. Meteorologists actually know exactly what caused that rainfall. It's called a Western Disturbance. It's a weather pattern that's been bringing winter rain to North India for, well, forever. Literally as long as we'd had weather records. Western disturbances are storms that form over the Mediterranean. They travel east, pick up moisture, and dump it on the Himalayas and the Indo-Gangetic Plains. Every single winter. So when March 2026 saw heavier than usual rainfall in Punjab and Haryana, meteorologists had a straightforward explanation. A particularly strong Western disturbance system. Fact-checkers confirmed it within days. According to Op India's investigation, quote, recent North Indian weather is due to a natural Western disturbance, not to artificial intervention. Multiple news outlets reached the same conclusion. The Tribune, One World News, independent meteorologists, all pointing to the same thing. Natural weather patterns, nothing artificial. But wait, where did the Bill Gates connection even come from? This didn't just appear out of thin air. There's always a kernel of truth buried somewhere in these conspiracies. And here's the kernel. Bill Gates has, in fact, funded climate research, at real universities, including something called the SCoPEx project at Harvard. SCoPEx, that's the Stratospheric Controlled Perturbation Experiment, is studying solar geoengineering. Basically, could we reflect some sunlight back into space to cool the planet? It's theoretical. It's controversial. It's the subject of intense scientific debate, but here's what it's not. It's not operational. It has never been deployed. It cannot cause regional rainfall. But that nuance? It got completely lost in the viral telephone game. Gates funds climate research became Gates controls the weather in about 3 retweets. Now let's talk about cloud seeding, because this is where things get interesting. Cloud seeding is real. It's not science fiction. But what it can actually do might surprise you. Cloud seeding has existed since 1946. A scientist named Vincent Schaefer discovered that dropping dry ice into clouds could trigger precipitation, and we've been experimenting with it ever since. Today, according to the Desert Research Institute, cloud seeding works by releasing silver iodide or other particles into existing clouds. These particles become seeds for water droplets to form around. And here's the critical part. It requires existing clouds. You can't seed a clear blue sky. The moisture has to already be there, in supercooled form, waiting to precipitate. So, what kind of results does cloud seeding actually produce? The U.S. Government Accountability Office reviewed decades of research. Their conclusion? Quote, estimates of additional precipitation ranged from 0 to 20%. 0 to 20%, not creating storms from nothing. Not flooding regions at will. Enhancement of existing precipitation by, at best, a fifth. A 5-year Australian study showed cloud seeding increased snowfall by 14% at one specific mountain site. 14%. That's the kind of modest, measurable effect we're talking about. 9 U.S. states currently run active cloud seeding programs. Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, places that need snowpack for their water supply. It's routine water management, not weather warfare. So, we've got the facts. Natural Western disturbance caused the rain. Cloud seeding is real but limited. Gates funds research that has never been deployed. How did we get from here to Gates is buying the rain? This is where psychology comes in. Because billionaire weather conspiracies aren't new. They follow a pattern, and that pattern tells us something important about how misinformation works. Researchers call it authority transfer. A famous name gets attached to a real technology. Suddenly, the technology seems more powerful, more sinister, more plausible. The name does the heavy lifting. Gates is the perfect target. He's incredibly wealthy. He's involved in global health. Vaccines. Remember the pandemic conspiracies? He funds climate research. He's visible. He's foreign to most local contexts. Mix those ingredients with unusual weather, something people actually experienced, and you've got a conspiracy theory that practically writes itself. According to experts quoted in One World News, quote, "Cloud seeding is a real but limited scientific technique that cannot control weather systems or cause extreme events like floods." But here's the thing about debunking. Facts alone don't undo belief. The people sharing those posts weren't just confused. They were expressing something deeper. Distrust of powerful institutions, frustration with climate change they can see happening around them, a feeling that someone, somewhere, must be in control, because the alternative is scarier. That's the real psychology at play. It's almost more comforting to believe a billionaire is controlling the weather than to accept that climate is chaotic and we're all vulnerable to it. And this is where legitimate debates get lost in the noise. Real scientists are actually debating geoengineering research. Should we even study technologies that could theoretically modify climate? Could that research create what ethicists call a moral hazard, reducing the pressure to cut emissions because we think we can engineer our way out? These are important questions, but they're entirely different from claiming that one man is secretly controlling rainfall over North India. That conflation, treating research as operation, is how truth gets lost. So here's what you can do with this information. Next time you see a weather control claim, start with a simple question. Does this align with what cloud seeding can actually do? Remember, cloud seeding enhances existing clouds by at most 20%. It can't create storms. It can't cause floods. It can't make it rain from a clear sky. When unusual weather hits your area, consider checking if there's a meteorological explanation first. Western disturbances, El Niño, La Niña, these patterns have names because they're predictable. It might help to be skeptical when billionaire names get attached to local weather events. Ask yourself, who benefits from this framing? What evidence actually supports the claim? And here's a crucial distinction to keep in mind. Funding research is completely different from controlling operational systems. Gates funds studies. He doesn't own weather infrastructure. More than 50 countries use some form of cloud seeding. China has the world's largest program. The UAE seeds clouds over Dubai. None of this is secret. None of it is controlled by one person. The irony is that while people were sharing Gates conspiracies, actual weather modification programs around the world were operating in plain sight, just not doing anything close to what the conspiracies claimed. This conspiracy theory will resurface. It always does. Different weather event, same pattern. Maybe it'll be Gates again. Maybe Bezos or Musk. The name changes, the structure stays the same. As the Geo report put it, the science is still developing. Cloud seeding research continues, but the gap between what we can do and what conspiracies claim we can do, that gap is enormous. And that's maybe the most important takeaway here. Technology exists on a spectrum. We can do X doesn't mean we can do X times 1,000. Scale matters. Capability has limits. If you found this breakdown useful, dropping a like helps more people find us. And if you want more myth-busting content, subscribing means you won't miss the next investigation. Because here's the thing about misinformation. It's not going away. The same patterns will repeat with different names and different technologies. Learning to spot those patterns is a skill. And the pattern here is clear. Take a real technology, attach a famous name, blame them for a local event that people actually experienced. Watch it spread. The internet rewards this. Algorithms amplify outrage. Shares get shares. By the time fact-checkers respond, the claim has already reached millions. The Bill Gates rain conspiracy spread within hours of the first rainfall. Multiple fact-checks came within days, but virality had already done its work. That's the asymmetry we're dealing with. So next time you see a claim like this, consider pausing before you share. Not because you're naive for believing it, but because pausing is how we slow the spread. Look for the kernel of truth. There usually is one. Then ask, how much has that kernel been inflated? What can this technology actually do versus what the claim says? In this case, the kernel was real. Gates funds climate research. Cloud seeding exists, but exists and causes floods in India at the command of one billionaire. Those are very different statements. The real Western disturbance that caused that March rainfall? It dissipated naturally, like they all do. No billionaire involvement required, just atmosphere, moisture, and physics. Did Bill Gates buy the rain? No. Can anyone buy the rain? Also no. But can a claim like that capture millions of minds in hours? Unfortunately, yes. That's the real story here. Not weather control, narrative control, and in that arena, the algorithms are winning. This has been Internet Mythbusters. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next viral claim is already forming somewhere. Stay curious, stay skeptical. We'll see you in the next one.